Did you know that right now, inside your brain, millions of neurons are either strengthening their connections or quietly losing them? And the single biggest factor driving that process is what you eat? Most people assume memory loss is simply part of getting older. They forget a name, misplace their keys, lose their train of thought, and they accept it as inevitable. But here is what the latest neuroscience is making very clear. Memory decline is not always a fixed fate. For the majority of older adults, it is heavily influenced by lifestyle, and diet sits at the very top of that list. In fact, a landmark study published in the journal Alzheimer's and Dementia followed more than 900 older adults for nearly 5 years and found that those who closely followed a specific brain-protective diet had cognitive function equivalent to someone more than 7.5 years younger than their actual age. 7.5 years. That is not a small number. That is the difference between driving yourself to appointments and needing someone to drive you. Between living independently and needing daily assistance. Here at Senior Health Insights, we are dedicated to bringing you the most accurate, research-backed information to help you protect your brain, your memory, and your independence as you age. And in today's video, we are going to walk through 10 of the most well-studied, scientifically supported foods for protecting the aging brain. Stay with me until the end, because one of these foods, the one most people never think about, may be the most powerful of all. If you are serious about protecting your memory as you age, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss science-based guidance created specifically for adults over 60. 1. Blueberries. The first food every senior should be eating regularly is the humble blueberry. Blueberries are one of the richest natural sources of a class of plant compounds called flavonoids, specifically a subtype known as anthocyanins. These are the pigments that give blueberries their deep blue-purple color. And inside the aging brain, they do something extraordinary. Anthocyanins cross what is called the blood-brain barrier, the highly selective membrane that controls what enters the brain from the bloodstream. Most compounds cannot cross it. Anthocyanins can. And once they do, they target two of the most critical mechanisms driving memory decline: oxidative stress and neuroinflammation. Oxidative stress is essentially cellular rust, unstable molecules called free radicals attacking and damaging brain cells. Neuroinflammation is chronic, low-level inflammation inside brain tissue that gradually disrupts communication between neurons. Both of these processes accelerate significantly after 60, and both of them are directly countered by the compounds in blueberries. But the research goes further. A randomized controlled trial published in the European Journal of Nutrition found that older adults who consumed blueberry powder equivalent to roughly 1 cup of fresh blueberries daily for 12 weeks showed significant improvements in memory, attention, and processing speed compared to a placebo group. The researchers specifically identified improved activity in the hippocampus, the region of the brain most responsible for forming new memories, and the first area damaged in Alzheimer's disease. What makes blueberries especially valuable for seniors is that they also support cerebral blood flow. Studies using functional MRI imaging have shown that regular blueberry consumption increases blood flow to memory-related brain regions, meaning more oxygen and nutrients reach the neurons that need them most. You do not need a large amount to benefit. Research suggests that half a cup to 1 cup per day, fresh or frozen, is sufficient. Frozen blueberries retain their anthocyanin content extremely well, making them an affordable year-round option. Add them to oatmeal, mix them into plain yogurt, or eat them alone as a morning snack. But eat them regularly. Consistency is what the research supports, not occasional use. 2. Fatty fish. The second food on this list is fatty fish, and this one is non-negotiable when it comes to brain health after 60. The human brain is approximately 60% fat by dry weight, and the most structurally critical fat in the brain is a type of omega-3 fatty acid called DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. DHA forms the actual membrane of every neuron in your brain. It keeps those membranes fluid and flexible, which is essential for the fast, efficient transfer of signals between brain cells that underlies all memory and cognition. Here is the critical problem. Your body cannot produce DHA efficiently on its own. It must come from your diet. And after 60, the body's ability to convert plant-based omega-3s into usable DHA drops significantly. This means that for older adults specifically, getting DHA from direct dietary sources becomes increasingly important. Fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel, herring, and trout are the most concentrated dietary source of preformed DHA available. A single 3-ounce serving of wild-caught salmon provides approximately 1,200 to 1,800 milligrams of combined omega-3 fatty acids, including DHA and EPA. A major study published in the journal JAMA found that higher blood levels of omega-3 fatty acids were associated with significantly larger brain volume, larger hippocampal volume, and better abstract thinking scores in older adults. Brain shrinkage, a process that accelerates with age, was meaningfully slower in those with higher omega-3 levels. Beyond structural support, DHA also reduces neuroinflammation, supports the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, often called BDNF, which is essentially the brain's growth hormone for new neural connections, and has been shown to reduce amyloid plaque accumulation, the hallmark pathology of Alzheimer's disease. The recommendation is 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish per week. If you do not enjoy fish or have dietary restrictions, a high-quality fish oil supplement standardized to at least 1,000 milligrams of combined DHA and EPA per day is a well-studied alternative. Always consult your physician before starting any supplement, particularly if you are on blood thinners. 3. Leafy green vegetables. The third food is leafy green vegetables, and the research behind this category is so consistent and so impressive that it deserves its own dedicated attention. A major longitudinal study published in the journal Neurology tracked the dietary habits and cognitive function of more than 900 older adults over 5 years. The finding was striking. Participants who consumed just 1 serving of leafy greens per day, 1 serving, had a rate of cognitive decline equivalent to being 11 years younger than those who ate little to no leafy greens. 11 years, from 1 daily serving of spinach, kale, collard greens, or Swiss chard. The reason comes down to a specific set of nutrients that leafy greens contain in unusually high concentrations. The first is vitamin K1, the dietary form of vitamin K. Emerging research has linked low vitamin K levels in older adults to faster cognitive decline, with studies suggesting it plays a role in producing brain lipids called sphingolipids that protect neurons from age-related damage. The second is folate, a B vitamin that plays a critical role in a process called methylation, which regulates gene expression in brain cells and helps clear homocysteine from the blood. Elevated homocysteine is one of the strongest known dietary risk factors for dementia and vascular cognitive impairment. Leafy greens bring homocysteine down. The third is lutein, a carotenoid antioxidant that concentrates specifically in neural tissue, including the brain and the retina. Higher lutein levels in older adults have been consistently associated with better memory, faster processing speed, and preserved white matter integrity in brain imaging studies. The fourth is alpha-tocopherol, a form of vitamin E, which protects neuronal membranes from oxidative damage. The best choices are kale, spinach, collard greens, mustard greens, arugula, and romaine lettuce. Cooking does not destroy these benefits. In fact, light cooking can improve the bioavailability of some of these nutrients. Aim for 1 to 2 servings per day, which can be as simple as adding a large handful of spinach to scrambled eggs in the morning. 4. Walnuts. The fourth food seniors must eat for brain health is walnuts. And among all nuts, walnuts stand in a category of their own when it comes to cognitive protection. Walnuts are uniquely rich in alpha-linolenic acid, the plant-based omega-3 fatty acid, as well as polyphenols including ellagic acid, and a compound called juglone, and vitamin E in its gamma-tocopherol form. Together, these compounds address multiple pathways of brain aging simultaneously. A cross-sectional analysis from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, a large, nationally representative dataset, found that adults who ate walnuts regularly had significantly better cognitive test scores than non-consumers, with the association strongest in adults over 60. Specifically, walnut eaters performed better on tests of episodic memory, working memory, and processing speed. Animal studies at UCLA found that a walnut-enriched diet reduced anxiety behaviors, improved memory, and decreased inflammatory markers in the brain. Findings attributed to the combined antioxidant and anti-inflammatory profile of walnut compounds acting on the hippocampus. What makes walnuts especially practical is their convenience. They require no preparation, no cooking, and no refrigeration. A small handful, roughly 1 ounce, or about 14 walnut halves, is the amount used in most positive research studies. That amounts to approximately 185 calories, making them a calorie-efficient, nutrient-dense snack. Eat walnuts plain, add them to oatmeal, toss them over a salad, or mix them into plain yogurt with blueberries. The combination of walnuts and blueberries in a single meal creates a powerful overlap of complementary brain protective compounds. One important note for seniors: walnuts are high in calories, and for those managing weight, 1 ounce per day is sufficient. More is not necessarily better here. 5. Extra virgin olive oil. The fifth food is extra virgin olive oil, and its role in protecting the aging brain has moved from traditional wisdom into very rigorous science. Extra virgin olive oil, not refined olive oil, not light olive oil, specifically extra virgin, contains a compound called oleocanthal that is essentially unique to this food. Oleocanthal is a natural anti-inflammatory agent that works through the same biochemical pathway as ibuprofen, inhibiting the same enzymes, but without the gastrointestinal risks of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Why does this matter for the brain? Chronic neuroinflammation is now recognized as a central driver of both Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia. Oleocanthal directly suppresses this inflammation at the cellular level inside brain tissue. But there is more. A remarkable study published in the journal Annals of Clinical and Translational Neurology found that oleocanthal actually stimulates the brain's own waste clearance system, specifically, a process that removes amyloid beta protein, the toxic protein that accumulates in Alzheimer's disease, from brain tissue. In other words, oleocanthal may help the brain literally clean itself more efficiently. The PREDIMED trial, one of the largest and most rigorous dietary intervention studies ever conducted, randomized over 7,000 participants to different dietary patterns, including one supplemented with extra virgin olive oil. After roughly 5 years, participants in the olive oil group had significantly better cognitive outcomes than control groups, with specific improvements in memory and frontal function. Extra virgin olive oil also contains oleic acid, which supports the integrity of myelin, the protective sheath around nerve fibers, and polyphenols that protect neurons from oxidative damage. Use 2 to 4 tablespoons per day. Drizzle it over vegetables, use it for low-heat cooking, or add it to salads. Always store it in a dark glass bottle away from heat and light, as polyphenols degrade with light and temperature exposure. And always choose a certified extra virgin product. The processing methods used in cheaper oils destroy the beneficial compounds. 6. Eggs. The sixth food is eggs, one of the most underappreciated brain foods available, and one that has been unfairly overlooked for decades. The reason eggs belong on this list comes down to 3 specific nutrients they contain in concentrated form. The first is choline. Choline is the dietary precursor to acetylcholine, one of the brain's most critical neurotransmitters for memory formation, attention, and learning. The brain literally uses choline from your diet to manufacture acetylcholine. And after 60, both choline intake and acetylcholine signaling tend to decline. A major epidemiological study, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, found that higher dietary choline intake was significantly associated with better verbal and visual memory performance in older adults. One large egg provides approximately 147 milligrams of choline, and the majority of it is in the yolk, which means whole eggs, not egg whites, are what you want. The second nutrient is lutein and zeaxanthin, the same carotenoids found in leafy greens. Egg yolks are one of the most bioavailable dietary sources of these compounds. Research published in Nutritional Neuroscience found that older adults who consumed eggs daily showed significant increases in macular and brain lutein levels, which correlated with improved cognitive performance. The third nutrient is vitamin B12, critically important for maintaining the myelin sheaths around nerve fibers and preventing neurological damage. Vitamin B12 deficiency, which becomes dramatically more common after 60 due to reduced stomach acid and intrinsic factor production, is one of the most reversible causes of cognitive symptoms in older adults. Eggs provide a meaningful source of this vitamin, particularly relevant for seniors who eat limited red meat. The evidence no longer supports limiting egg consumption out of cholesterol concern for most healthy older adults. Current guidelines have moved away from strict dietary cholesterol limits. For most seniors without specific medical contraindications, 1 to 2 whole eggs per day is both safe and highly beneficial for brain health. 7. Dark chocolate. The 7th food may be the most welcome item on this list: dark chocolate. Dark chocolate with a cocoa content of 70% or higher is a rich source of flavonols, a subtype of flavonoids that have shown remarkable effects on cerebral blood flow in controlled clinical trials. A randomized controlled trial published in Nature Neuroscience found that older adults with age-related memory decline who consumed high flavonol cocoa for 3 months showed significantly improved memory function and increased blood flow to the dentate gyrus, a region of the hippocampus particularly vulnerable to aging and a key site of memory formation. The mechanism is well understood. Cocoa flavonols stimulate the production of nitric oxide in blood vessel walls, which causes vessels to dilate and improve blood flow. The brain is one of the most metabolically demanding organs in the body and is acutely sensitive to fluctuations in blood flow. Even modest improvements in cerebral perfusion can meaningfully support memory and processing speed. Cocoa flavonols also activate BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which supports the growth of new neural connections and helps maintain hippocampal volume. and they have been shown in multiple studies to reduce markers of neuroinflammation. The critical distinction is that most commercial milk chocolate contains so little actual cocoa that it provides virtually none of these benefits, while delivering significant sugar and saturated fat. What you want is dark chocolate with a minimum 70% cocoa content, consumed in moderation, roughly 1 ounce, or about 25 to 30 grams, 3 to 4 times per week. For seniors with diabetes or blood sugar regulation issues, monitor your intake carefully and discuss with your physician, as even dark chocolate contains natural sugars. 8. Turmeric. Turmeric. The 8th food is turmeric, and specifically its active compound, curcumin, which has generated an impressive and growing body of research in the context of Alzheimer's prevention and cognitive aging. Curcumin is a polyphenol with potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, making it directly active in neural tissue, and it appears to work through multiple pathways relevant to dementia prevention simultaneously. A randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial published in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry, one of the most rigorous study designs in medicine, found that older adults without dementia who took a bioavailable form of curcumin for 18 months showed significant improvements in memory and attention compared to placebo. PET imaging in this trial showed that curcumin users had noticeably less amyloid and tau accumulation in areas of the brain associated with Alzheimer's disease. Epidemiological evidence has long intrigued researchers. India, where turmeric is a daily dietary staple, has historically had some of the lowest rates of Alzheimer's disease in the world, a correlation that prompted the initial laboratory research into curcumin's neuroprotective properties. Curcumin also reduces levels of 2 primary inflammatory markers in the brain, nuclear factor kappa B and interleukin-6, and has been shown to stimulate neurogenesis, the birth of new neurons, in the hippocampus. There is an important practical caveat. Curcumin has poor bioavailability on its own, meaning the body does not absorb it well from food alone. Adding black pepper to turmeric increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000% due to a compound called piperine. Using turmeric in cooking with a small amount of black pepper and a healthy fat like olive oil or coconut oil significantly increases its effectiveness. Golden milk, a warm drink made from turmeric, black pepper, and milk, or a plant-based alternative, is one practical daily delivery method. Adding turmeric to soups, stews, eggs, and roasted vegetables is another. Aim for approximately 1 teaspoon of turmeric per day with black pepper included. 9. Legumes. The 9th food group seniors should be eating regularly is legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas, and peas. And the brain-specific benefits of these foods are often completely overlooked. Legumes are among the richest plant sources of folate, the B vitamin that directly lowers homocysteine, one of the most well-documented dietary contributors to cognitive decline and dementia risk. A meta-analysis published in Neurology confirmed that elevated homocysteine is independently associated with significantly increased Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia risk, and that folate intake is one of the primary dietary tools for reducing it. Beyond folate, legumes provide a slow and steady release of glucose into the bloodstream due to their exceptional fiber content and low glycemic index. This matters enormously for brain health in older adults. The brain is almost entirely dependent on glucose for fuel, but it is the stability of that glucose supply, not the quantity, that determines cognitive performance. Blood sugar spikes and crashes, which become more common with age and insulin resistance, directly impair hippocampal function and are associated with accelerated cognitive decline. Legumes are also rich in magnesium, a mineral that acts directly on NMDA receptors in the brain, which are essential for learning, memory consolidation, and synaptic plasticity. Magnesium deficiency, which affects a significant proportion of older adults, has been linked to impaired memory and increased Alzheimer's risk. Just 1 cup of cooked lentils provides approximately 36% of the daily recommended intake of magnesium. Finally, legumes feed the gut microbiome, the community of trillions of microorganisms living in the intestines that research is increasingly linking to brain health through the gut-brain axis. A fiber-rich microbiome produces short-chain fatty acids like butyrate that cross into the brain and actively reduce neuroinflammation. Aim for at least 4 to 5 servings of legumes per week. Lentil soup, bean salads, hummus with vegetables, and chickpea curries are all practical and delicious options that work well for seniors with varied cooking abilities. 10. Green tea. The 10th food, or rather beverage, is green tea, and its role in protecting the aging brain is supported by some of the most compelling population-level data available. A large prospective cohort study conducted in Japan, where green tea consumption is deeply embedded in daily culture, followed more than 1,000 older adults and found that those who drank 2 or more cups of green tea per day had a 50% lower prevalence of cognitive impairment compared to those who drank fewer than 3 cups per week. 50%. From a daily cup of tea. Green tea contains 2 primary brain-active compounds that work together. The first is a catechin called EGCG, epigallocatechin 3-gallate, one of the most studied polyphenols in nutritional neuroscience. EGCG has been shown in laboratory and animal studies to reduce amyloid beta aggregation, lower tau hyperphosphorylation, 2 of the defining pathological processes of Alzheimer's disease, reduce neuroinflammation, protect neurons from oxidative damage, and stimulate BDNF production. The second compound is L-theanine, an amino acid found almost exclusively in tea leaves. L-theanine promotes what researchers describe as alert relaxation, a state of calm focus without sedation, by increasing alpha brainwave activity and modulating neurotransmitter systems, including GABA, dopamine, and serotonin. Multiple double-blind clinical trials have confirmed that L-theanine improves attention, working memory, and processing speed in older adults. Importantly, L-theanine modulates the effect of caffeine. Green tea contains significantly less caffeine than coffee, smoothing out its stimulant effect and extending focused mental clarity without the anxiety or sleep disruption that caffeine can cause in older adults. 2 to 3 cups of green tea per day is the amount most consistently associated with cognitive benefits in research. Brew it at a temperature below boiling, ideally around 70 to 80 degrees Celsius, as excessively hot water degrades the delicate catechins. Let it steep for 2 to 3 minutes for optimal extraction. If you are sensitive to caffeine, matcha, a powdered form of green tea, or decaffeinated green tea, retains meaningful amounts of L-theanine and polyphenols with substantially reduced caffeine content. Now that we have gone through all 10 foods, let us take a moment to put the full picture together. What makes these 10 foods so powerful is not that each one works in isolation. It is that they address the aging brain's most vulnerable points from multiple angles simultaneously, reducing inflammation, protecting neurons from oxidative damage, supporting blood flow, feeding the gut-brain axis, supplying the raw materials for neurotransmitter production, and helping the brain clear the toxic proteins associated with dementia. The common thread across all 10 is this: they work with the biology of the aging brain rather than against it. None of them requires a prescription. None of them carries serious risks for most healthy older adults. They are real foods available in any grocery store that have been studied in clinical trials and shown to make a measurable difference. The brain is not destined to fail as we age. With intentional choices, we can feed it what it needs to stay sharp, connected, and clear for decades to come. If this video helped you understand the powerful connection between diet and brain health, please take a moment to like it. It helps more seniors find reliable, science-based guidance instead of misinformation. Share it with a family member or friend who wants to protect their memory as they age. And subscribe to Senior Health Insights and turn on notifications so you never miss content created specifically to help you age well. Remember, healthy aging is not built on fear. It is built on knowledge, consistency, and the small choices you make every single day. Choose simply, choose wisely, and most importantly, choose vitality.